Did you know that Africa is the place where the body of the first man was found? My daddy says that makes it the place where all people originated from. I'm from Africa, you from Africa, you African booty scratcher.
We make niggas disappear like that triangle out Bermuda. They can't find his body, but they know that I'm the shooter. I say cut my sentence in half, and I spread a little rumor. Well, you can look in Oklahoma if you want to find them sooner.
What it do, what it do, what it do, what it do, what it do. What it do, what it do, what it do, what it do. Back for another classic in the book of the Strictly Ghetto Engine. And another chapter. And this one is called Black Seminoles, Florida Removal and Flight to Mexico. So basically, this is section number 5. You know, we're still on the Joseph Apollo outline. And we done made it to the removal part. As far as being removed from Florida. As you see, I guess my last little build, I did come across a historian that was talking about Santa Elena, and it also corresponded with St. Augustine. And what was so funny about that was because I was always wondering about Menendez as far as, you know, him discovering or founding St. Augustine in 1565. But I thought that it was funny that they said that there wasn't no slaves there until 1580s in the 1580s. But it turned out that whenever St. Augustine was founded, that they was going down there to go get at Fort Carolina, but the storm had veered them off. They ended up setting up St. Augustine and then up capturing Fort Carolina, but they ended up leaving and going back to Santa Elena, and they was up there until 1675. So I was wondering, like, damn, why them niggas didn't have no slaves for 15 years? So they wasn't even at St. Augustine. You know what I'm saying? Until, you know what I'm saying, like until the 1580s. So I thought that was interesting. And I also thought that it was interesting how, you know, he was saying, yeah, this is the history. They don't be telling us this type of history, whoop, 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 whoop. But he never brought up St. Augustine. So I thought that was very interesting. So that was a good little build. Just, you know, just some more little nuggets, you know, for that piece of the puzzle. But let me go on and get to it. The removal from Florida, Black Seminoles, Joseph Apollo outline. Definitely pull up, roll up. I'm so glad that you showed up to comment, like, subscribe, tell a friend, and do it again. Okay, between 1838 and 1843, nearly 500 Black Seminoles were removed to Indian Territory in what is now eastern Oklahoma. From the moment of their arrival, their situation was unsecure. They were attacked by both white and Indian slave hunters. Many of them were seized and carried off in the night to be sold in neighboring Arkansas or in New Orleans. And others were killed defending themselves and their families. Local creeks claimed that some of them as runaways from their settlements in Georgia, and whites followed them to the west, often with complete spurious claims. Furthermore, um, furthermore, 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 uh, but their Seminole masters were coming more and more under the influence of far more severe slave codes of the Cherokees, Chickasaws, Choctaws, and Creeks. Okay, so that was what was going on. So basically, they basically put the laws on the Indians that was basically tight with us, and basically said that, shoot, if you don't comply, you going to jail. So you might as well comply so you can be living like us. So some bit the pill, some didn't, some fought with us. And we was the ones that ended up going down to Mexico. But let's still talk about the removal from Florida. Some of the Seminoles sold their former black allies to slaves speculators. And um, that right there, I definitely don't agree with that. as far as them saying that, Seminoles was their masters and all that type of stuff. As I done already read, that once they captured a black person, and whatever chief that was in their area was automatically their master. So it didn't have nothing to do with them buying them. It was just us being in the new culture, in the new society, that somebody had to be our masters on paper. You know what I'm saying? But in real life, it ain't even going down like that. But on paper, within this society, they got to write it up like that. Okay, because this is before the Civil War. You know what I'm saying? So, for you to be able to be free, you had to have a pass, or you had to be, you know what I'm saying, some type of papers. You know what I'm saying? Let me keep it going. And often for a bottle of whiskey. So they trying to say that the Indians was selling nigga for one bottle of whiskey. Like, come on now. White people be saying anything, and that's why I was saying that the government, which I'll be able to show within this, well, not this bill, but within this package, how they were a part of funding and being part of the middleman of, to be able to hunt black people that they never knew, never met, and never knew, and really never knew about until they started raiding Florida more, which they already been raiding Florida, but just like I say, them it's just black Seminoles that's just running back to Florida, to their homelands. That the ones that did get captured from prisoners of war during that time frame. And until 1856, the Seminoles in Oklahoma were technically under the Creeks. And, they try to say technically and all that type of stuff. But, that's what jumped off the war, because we didn't, in real life, we wasn't acting like that. And they felt some type of way, like we was breaking their laws, and, they felt like they had to run up on us. And the latter placed heavy pressure on them to control their slaves and limit their freedom in accordance in the Creek law. See, that's what I'm talking about. So they just trying to say, yeah, slaves, niggas got to act like slaves, but nah, we ain't slaves and we ain't acting like no slaves. So that was a big problem. We would never act like a slave. Niggas don't even know what you talking about. Y'all don't even know what y'all talking about. Y'all trying to act like them. Nigga, y'all don't even know what's going on. They had to bring in a white man from South Carolina to be able to teach them how to be able to be slave owners, which I'll be able to bring that here soon. Let me keep it going. The situation came to the head in 1845 when General Jessup the quartermaster general visit Indian Territory. At that time, he sent word to the blacks that they were all free under the promise he made in Florida to black warriors were voluntarily surrendered. Until then, it had been unclear as to which blacks could claim freedom under Jessup and the proclamation. So until then, it had been unclear who was the free blacks and who wasn't the free blacks. But just like I read a long time ago in some bills, they were saying if you came in during a certain date, then you was automatically free going west. It really didn't matter your situation at all. And that's what the Army was promoting down there in Florida. But just come, make sure that you at Tampa by a certain date. You're gonna be able to go out west, and you're gonna be able to be free. You're gonna be able to be in new lands. You're gonna be able to, be a free person. But it didn't go down like that. As you see, they was trying to still figure out who was who. Until then, it had been unclear. Okay, most of the Seminole blacks fled from the Indians and took refuge with the Army at Fort Gibson in the Cherokee Nation, and the Army protected them there until 1848, when an opinion of an Attorney General of the United States found Jessup proclamation invalid. Dang, that's wicked. So an Attorney General came and just crossed Jessup up out of there and declared that the blacks to be property of the Seminoles. That's wicked. So they put the green light on us. Okay, so the Seminole blacks were still armed, and they vowed to fight rather than return to the Indians. But General Becknap convinced them to return to the promising that they would be permitted to live in their own towns and retain their property, and that they would not be sold without their consent. They returned to the Seminole County in January 1849. So there we go again. They just setting us up for the ooh-wop. It's almost kind of like, it's kind of crazy. It's almost like, damn, what was that one movie called with Ice-T? I forgot what it was called. It was Ice-T a long time ago where they had captured some people from the inner city, like some rich white dudes, and they take them to the woods and they let them go run. They gotta go hunt them down and all that old crazy ass type shit. It's almost there what was going on. It's but they were setting it up because the people that said, nah, you free, you can go out there, go set up. But then his partner is saying, got a deal going on with some big timers. Yeah, we're gonna pay some people to go gaffing them up. Because we got some people that's gonna buy them from up north. You know what I'm saying? We for the tax. So that's crazy that they put that play down. Yeah, that's wicked. Government. Ooh. I don't know how we lost this case. This is crazy. This is so much information. How the hell we lose this case? This shit crazy. Okay, once back with the Indians, the blacks immediately began to defy the authority of their masters. Yeah, nigga, what you mean? What y'all niggas are switching up, nigga? Y'all niggas better. Shit, crazy. Okay, so Gopher John, who was becoming the important leader, established a town on the site of modern Wewoka. When Seminole police attempted to arrest the man in Gopher John's town, they were turned away. And the blacks, and that's crazy, dang, they was turned away. You know what's so crazy about that? Shit, with my folks in I guess 1913 or something like that, they had a big shootout down there. Again with the cudgels and stuff like that, where the police that came down there, but he wasn't gonna come down there by himself, and they had to get some, they had to wait for the people to come from Fort from Fort Gibson, and you know what I'm saying, to be able to come down there and make the arrest. But yeah, but it always been going down there in that area, man. It just ain't never been. It just ain't never been like your niggas just walking down. You can just arrest a nigga. Like there was always been something going down. All right, when Seminoles police turned away, and the blacks sent word to the Seminole chief that a black man could not be arrested without permission of the black chiefs. Man, come on, man. Wait, let me read that again. Let me read that again. How the hell did we lose this case, nigga? This is crazy, nigga. What the fuck the government was on? That shit sound crazy as hell. Okay, when Seminole police attempted to arrest a man in Gopher, Johnstown, they were turned away. The blacks sent the word to the Seminole chiefs that a black man could not be arrested without permission of the black chiefs. Damn. And in the summer of 1849, the Seminoles failed in an attempt to disarm the blacks and break up their settlements. By this time, the old relationship had almost completely disintegrated, and the two groups had become armed and antagonistic. The existence of war, which had bound them together in Florida, no longer existed. Yeah, because they turned coat. They turned buster. They straight turned buster, straight up. Except for Wildcat and them, the ones that came down with us. But everybody else turned buster. Because really, them niggas is really creeps in their heart. All right, so we're going to get to the second part, flight to Mexico. So Wildcat was one of the few Seminole Indians who wished to continue in the old relationship with the blacks. In 1849, he was passed over for the chieftain in favor of Jim Jumper. And you know what's so crazy about that? Because Wildcat was the son of one of the major chiefs, and whenever Micanopy and his father died, he was supposed to, just like I said, he was supposed to be the chief. He was the, he was the next one up as far as within the nurse system. You know what I'm saying? Within the nurse system. But just like when we got out here, they kind of got influenced. I ain't gonna say they kind of got influenced. They did get influenced by the government with money and liquor and all the other vices that, that really made them turn coat, and it really made them kind of agree with the government and say, okay, well, we're gonna do it like that instead of doing it like the way that we always doing it. As far as, okay, well, basically, but the government get to choose the chief. You know what I'm saying? Instead of doing it their traditional way, you know what I'm saying? That's how Jim Jumper ended up getting it. And at the same time, they also put in a law where the black chiefs couldn't be part of the council anymore. They kicked us out of the council, which the government had put in their law. And the Seminoles went with it. That's why they busters. Also, they just really did a whole bunch of buster ass shit straight up. Okay, in favor of Jim Jumper, a member of the pro Creek and pro slavery faction. Wildcat then decided to lead a breakaway colony to Mexico, and in 1850 he assembled a group of Seminole blacks and Kickapoos. The blacks, who commanded by Gopher John, and the Kickapoos by Napapachu. They arrived in the state of Chihuahua in the summer of 1850 at the Mexico 850. Get off from 8 to 50, and were given promise to settle by the Mexican government. And the Mexicans asked that they establish permanent homes and make themselves available for periodic military service against the Comanches, Apaches, who were raiding the frontiers. Later in the year Other groups of the Seminole blacks from Indian Territory traveled to join Wildcat. Some were apprehended by the Creeks, others were waylaid and killed by the Comanches. Damn. Long live all the black Seminoles. In Mexico, the Kickapoos soon tried to desert the warfare, but the Seminoles and their black comrades took to it with the Mexican troops were unwilling to follow the more what kind of words this nigga using? Marauding Indians. For weeks at a time, over hundreds or even thousands of miles of badlands, but the red and black Seminoles were experts and often allowed by the Mexicans to keep horses and cattle they seized from the Comanches and Apaches. They pursued them endlessly and received many accommodations from the Mexican government. Mexican General Gerardo commented that they were always triumphant on their expeditions, and Wildcat was commissioned a colonel in the Mexican army. And so they've been putting it down. They've been putting it down in Mexico. They put it down there with the goddamn USA Army. They never lost a person. It looks like putting it down. Man, long live the black Seminoles, man. Straight up. Just as they had in Florida, the Seminoles and their Negro allies welcomed escaped slaves from across the borders. Because of this, they were constantly threatened by Texas slave hunters. In 1855, a large group of heavily armed Texas Rangers and irregulars marched onto the Seminoles camp in Manachimito. And combined force of Mexican Seminole Indians and Seminole blacks stopped them and forced them back across the Rio Grande. Man, got after Texas Rangers in 1855. Okay. Long live the black Seminoles. After the recognition of the Seminoles as the independent tribe in 1856 and the death of Wildcat in 1857, the Seminoles but the Seminole Indians began to move back to the Indian Territory. And by 1861, they had all gone. During the Civil War, the blacks remained in Mexico, where they were joined by other Seminole, Cherokee, and Creek slaves, and by runaway blacks from Texas. In 1870, the United States Cavalry invited some of the Seminole blacks to move across the border to Fort Duncan in Texas and act as Indian scouts for the Army. Some of them did join the cavalry and they were officially enrolled into the Seminole Negro Indian Scouts. And during a long conflict with the Indian tribes on the Texas frontier, the Scouts earned a reputation as hard fighters. In 1875, 3 of them won the Congressional Medal of Honor in a single engagement with the Comanches on the Pecos River. The Scouts were disbanded in 1914. Long live the black Seminoles. And today they are still black Seminoles communities in Nachimito, Chabahala, Mexico, and Brackenville, Texas. In Mexico, the black Seminoles are called Muskogas, probably because of their ancestors spoke Muskogee Indian language. Now that's interesting. Why would the Mexicans just call them that though? Like, did they come in like, yeah, call us Muskogees, or they just off the rip, yeah, y'all Muskogees? That's interesting. Very. Probably because their ancestors spoke Muskogee Indian language, the Texas tribe. So that's what I'm saying. How? So that's what I'm saying. Is the Mexican government like, all right, y'all speaking Muskogee language? Like, what's going on with that? I'm gonna have to dive into that. The Texas blacks still refer to themselves proudly as Seminoles. Why they ain't calling themselves Africans, man? This is in the 1800s. This is in the 1800s. Why ain't none of them calling themselves Africans or some type of, why ain't nobody reporting that type of presence going on? But as you know, we was just Seminoles. We was just Black Americans. And stolen identity to be for the government, to be their bondsmen. You know what I'm saying? To be, whatever that connection is, I'm gonna have to master that connection on that bondsman and that insurance and all that. But it was automatic. It was automatic tripping. It was automatic. No love, no respect, no type of worrying about these people. It's just to make money out these people. And I see people talking about Fort Mosaic. Well, it was going down way before Fort Mosaic. Well, Fort Mosaic, 1730, 1740. I'm talking about 1597. Talk about 1602. I'm talking about damn near 150 years before that. Which I'm gonna keep bringing that to the light, but it's like I say, my whole get down is the Black Seminoles and blacks found in America. So it's all gonna connect. It's all gonna connect. And it's coming together. And it's coming together nicely. It's gonna take some time. It ain't no microwaves type shit. It's gonna take some time. But it's coming together nicely though. It's coming together nice. I really want somebody to answer that question about Menendez saying that it was 20 to 30,000 Negroes in Cuba in 1560. You already see how I busted down Cuba. I really want somebody to really explain that to me. But, that's a whole nother bill. I'm supposed to put in the link for the Q&A if anybody got any questions about the Black Seminoles Florida removal or a flight to Mexico. Ho up, roll up. I'm so glad that you showed up to comment, like, subscribe, tell a friend, and do it again.